Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really deep biblical mystery, actually. The Urim and Thummim.
Right. Those objects mentioned with the high priest's breastplate in the Hebrew Bible, always a bit ambiguous, weren't they?
Exactly. Their nature, what they did. But now there's this, well, pretty audacious modern claim we're going to explore.
Dallas James. He's saying he actually possesses the Urim Thummim.
Not just an artifact, but the artifact.
Yeah.
And he goes further, calls it the Christ stone of Scripture, even the Holy Grail. It's a big claim.
It really is. And our mission today, sort of, is to unpack his specific theological world, you know? He frames this thing as the central hidden thing, the mystery of Christ.
Hidden. Like deliberately.
Yeah, he argues it was intentionally kept under wraps until, well, what he calls the end times. And now it's revealed, supposedly, to give us this deeper key to God's whole plan.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that. So maybe start with the basics. How is his idea of the Urim and Thummim different from, say, the standard scholarly take?
Well, the traditional view often sees them as two separate items, maybe stones, maybe dice used for divination, like casting lots.
Right, giving simple yes or no answers from God.
Exactly. But James, he says no. Urim and Thummim isn't two things. It's one concept, a single object.
One object. How does that work?
He calls it a hendiades. That's two words used for a single idea. He translates it as perfect light or unfailing revelation.
Meaning it wasn't just yes, no.
Right. He thinks it allowed for detailed, conversational communication with God. He points to examples like David asking specific questions in Samuel.
Okay.
And he even, retranslates parts of the New Testament where it mentions a mysterion in Greek. He argues it's specifically talking about this Urim Thummim artifact, this prime doctrine that got obscured.
Wow. Okay. So this artifact he claims to have, what does he say it actually looks like? What are the details?
It's pretty specific. He describes it as a flat oval jasper stone, blood red with a hint of blue, small, maybe 2 by 2.5 centimeters across, about 3 centimeters thick.
Jasper.
Okay. And the top is covered with a sheet of gold. Apparently, inside the stone, the layers, the strata, show a perfect number 7, naturally formed.
And number 7 inside the stone.
That's the claim. And engraved on the gold surface, you've got a tree of life, a serpent, and a lion, the lion of the tribe of Judah, lying down like couchant.
Tree, serpent, lion. Very symbolic.
Highly. And it has 7 eyes in total on these engravings. 2 on the lion, 2 on the tree, 3 on the serpent. The lion's eyes are supposedly jeweled sapphire or garnets, he says, and they flash.
Flash, okay. And the symbolism he attaches to all this, it must be dense.
Oh, definitely. For him, the jasper stone connects to the New Jerusalem, the gold to its street, the tree and serpent, obviously back to Eden. The lion is Christ's kingly authority.
And the 7 eyes.
He links those to the 7 eyes of the Lord in Zechariah, and also the 7 angels of the 7 churches in Revelation. He even calls the whole artifact the key of David. It's packed with meaning for him.
All right, but here's where it often gets really interesting with these claims.
Yeah.
The origin story. Where does he say this material came from? You mentioned gold.
Right. The gold, acid tested as 12 karat, he connects this to something called Bislig gold.
Bislig gold.
It's apparently a term from the pre-colonial Philippines, 16th century, meaning 12 karat gold, specifically hardened gold. And this ties into his belief that the Garden of Eden was actually in the Philippines.
Eden in the Philippines. Okay, that's a unique take.
And he claims a specific revelation in 2017 pointed to Bislig City there, which happens to be his wife's hometown, as an active area of prophecy, divine timing in his view.
Huh. And the stone itself. The artifact's journey through history.
He says it was divinely made, quoting Daniel, cut out without hands, passed down through the Levites, then prophets like David. Then it vanished, went into a long public absence, which he says was prophesied in Hosea and Ezra until these latter days.
And reappeared. Like where?
Del Paso Heights, California, apparently. Given to his Canadian mother, whose family lineage, the Godric's, he connects to keepers of the sacred secret. Then his father gave it to him around 1990.
Quite a story. But you mentioned an appraisal earlier. What about that?
Yes, that's a key point. It was appraised and classified as judicious Zionist art, dated much later, late 19th, early 20th century.
So centuries off. How does he reconcile that?
Well, he argues it's either the actual ancient original or it's what he calls a divinely sanctioned surrogate. He uses the word teraphim from Hosea, suggesting God can authorize a stand-in. Essentially, its divine authority trumps a modern dating in his framework.
Right. The divine authority overrides empirical dating.
Okay.
So connecting this to the bigger picture,
Mhm.
How does he link this specific artifact to God's end-time plan? You mentioned Malachi.
Exactly. Malachi 3 talks about God's special treasure. The Hebrew word is segula, meaning like a private possession you personally acquired and treasure. James says this refers to God's chosen people, the redeemed,
Yeah.
and he uses this metaphor. Just like gold is mined, dug from the earth, and refined by fire, believers are spiritually refined. The bislig gold on the artifact becomes a symbol of that whole process.
I see. And he has personal experiences that, for him, confirm all this. Angelic encounters.
Two main ones he cites. First, 1999, involved receiving free corn. He took this as a sign confirming his Levitical authority to receive the tithe.
Free corn confirming tithing authority.
Then a second encounter in 2019, a dream vision of a transparent arm made of light. He connects that to Isaiah 53, the arm of YHWH, seeing it as God actively intervening in his life and ministry.
And there was something about DNA.
Yes, he also points to DNA evidence suggesting he has Levite ancestry. And he notes that others who share DNA markers with him have also apparently undergone similar spiritual shifts, moving away from mainstream Christianity towards Sabbath-keeping Jewish messianic forms. He sees this as shared confirmation.
So putting it all together, we've walked through Dallas James's really intricate system here. It connects ancient texts, very specific physical details of this object, his own interpretations, prophetic history, and these deeply personal spiritual experiences. Quite a web.
It absolutely is. And it really brings up a fascinating question for you, the listener. When you encounter claims like this, claims that tie a physical object to such huge spiritual and prophetic significance, how do you even begin to process that? What stands out to you in the way empirical details, historical readings, and personal faith experiences all weave together to build and validate such an extraordinary claim? Something to think about.